Did you know that saying no can actually make you more persuasive? It sounds crazy, but it's true. Research shows that people are 2.5 times more likely to say yes when you give them the power to say no first. Sounds strange, right? But Chris Voss, a former FBI hostage negotiator, has turned this simple tactic into a game changer in the world of negotiation. In this video, we're diving into how saying no can actually work in your favor. We'll break down negotiation strategies you've probably never heard before and show you how to use them in real-life situations. Want to know how a no can give you more control, open doors, and even get you better deals? Stick with us. This might just change the way you negotiate forever. Chapter 1. The power of no. Reframing rejection in negotiations. We often see no as a dead end. But what if I told you it's actually one of the most powerful tools you can use? Chris Voss, former FBI negotiator, believes that hearing no can be a blessing in disguise. It's not rejection, it's an opportunity. When someone says no, they're not shutting you down, they're engaging with you. This gives you a chance to explore their real concerns, which is essential for finding a solution. The secret lies in how you frame no. Rather than viewing it as failure, Voss encourages you to see it as an invitation to negotiate further. Research shows that people feel safer saying no because it protects their autonomy. They don't feel cornered. This is where you can build trust. For example, instead of pushing forward with an offer, ask questions like, "What about this doesn't work for you?" This shifts the conversation from conflict to collaboration. Voss also suggests using a no to establish boundaries. When you say no, you're signaling that you're not desperate for a deal, which increases your leverage. Think of it as a firm handshake. You're showing confidence without being aggressive. This makes people respect you more. Another powerful element is the psychology behind the no. It's human nature to resist being controlled. A study by Robert Cialdini, author of Influence, reveals that people tend to push back when they feel forced. By allowing someone to say no, you give them a sense of control, which makes them more open to your ideas. The best part? Using no creates a psychological space where both sides can relax and think clearly. Instead of immediately jumping to a counteroffer, take a pause. Silence here works wonders. A well-timed pause after a no increases your chances of getting a yes. Chapter 2. Reverse psychology. How no opens doors. Reverse psychology is a fascinating tactic, and Chris Voss uses it to perfection in his negotiations. The concept is simple. When you want someone to say yes, start by saying no. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's one of the most effective ways to break down resistance. Voss's approach to reverse psychology isn't about manipulation. It's about showing respect for the other person's viewpoint. When someone feels like their opinion matters, they're more likely to open up. It's like saying, "I understand your concerns," without actually agreeing with them. This creates a space where the other party can reconsider their stance. Consider this. A study published in the Journal of Consumer Research found that people are more likely to comply when they feel they have the freedom to choose. By saying no, you give them that freedom. It might seem odd, but it's an invitation to a deeper conversation. You're not pushing them, you're allowing them to come to their own conclusions. For example, let's say you're negotiating a deal and the other party seems hesitant. Instead of pushing harder, try saying, "It seems like this isn't a good fit for you." You're planting the seed that this might not work, but in doing so, you're prompting them to rethink their position. Voss's idea of no as a tool for freedom also ties into a deeper psychological principle. People hate feeling trapped. When you offer an easy out, like a no, they'll often feel more inclined to reconsider their options. This gives you the leverage to guide them toward a solution that benefits both of you. A fascinating statistic from the Harvard Negotiation Project shows that when you respect a person's autonomy, by allowing them to say no, they're 2.5 times more likely to say yes later. In other words, reverse psychology creates a psychological pathway to a yes that feels more natural and less forced. Chapter 3. The no to yes transformation. The secret path turning a no into a yes is one of the most powerful negotiation skills you can master. But how do you do it? Chris Voss breaks it down in a simple but effective way. Acknowledge the no then redirect the conversation. This method requires both patience and strategic thinking. When someone says no, don't panic or get defensive. Instead, treat it as the beginning of a new phase in the conversation. Voss teaches us to respond with, "I understand." This simple phrase works wonders. It shows empathy without giving up your position. It's an acknowledgement that their concerns are valid, which opens the door for further discussion. A unique fact: a study by the Harvard Business Review found that 95% of negotiators are more likely to engage in a conversation when they feel understood. When you use phrases like, "I understand," or "tell me more," you create a space where the other person feels valued. They're not just defending their position, they're exploring options with you. After you've acknowledged the no, Voss advises you to ask questions that gently challenge their assumptions. For instance, "What would make this work for you?" or "Why do you feel that way?" These questions shift the focus away from the no and into finding a solution. What's key here is the concept of reframing. Instead of seeing no as a barrier, reframe it as a piece of information. You now know what's holding the other person back. With that knowledge, you can propose a different angle or a compromise. By doing this, you increase your chances of turning the situation around. Another powerful strategy is what Voss calls the accusation audit. Before they even have the chance to voice their objections, address the most likely concerns they might have. For instance, you might be thinking this offer doesn't work for your needs. This technique not only diffuses potential objections but also positions you as someone who's anticipating their needs. It's a preemptive strike that builds rapport. Chris Voss emphasizes that turning a no into a yes isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding the other person's needs, concerns, and desires. Once you show them that you're on their side, they'll be more open to listening to your offer. Ultimately, turning a no into a yes is about flexibility. It's about understanding that the no is just a stepping stone, not the final word. With patience, empathy, and the right strategies, you can transform even the toughest no into a yes that both parties feel good about. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want more expert negotiation tips, strategies, and real-life examples from Chris Voss, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Chapter 4. Turning no into a yes with tactical empathy. Chris Voss's signature tactic is something he calls tactical empathy, and it's a game changer. It's not just about understanding the other person's emotions, it's about using that understanding to guide the conversation in your favor. When you respond to a no with tactical empathy, you signal that you're listening and respecting their point of view. This makes them feel heard and valued. Empathy works wonders in building trust. A report by the Journal of Applied Psychology found that when people feel understood, they are more likely to be cooperative. When you acknowledge someone's feelings, they are more open to considering alternatives. So, even if someone says no, responding with, "I see why you feel that way," can make a huge difference. The key to tactical empathy is to avoid reacting emotionally. If you get defensive, you risk escalating the situation. Instead, acknowledge their emotions, then gently guide them toward your desired outcome. For example, if someone says, "This deal doesn't work for me," you can respond, "I understand this might not be ideal for you. What would make this work?" Chapter 5. The no dance. The subtle power of silence. Silence is one of the most underrated tools in negotiation. After you say no, or after someone else says it, just sit in the silence for a moment. This space allows both parties to process the conversation, and it creates a psychological tension that leads to more thoughtful responses. In fact, research shows that the longer you wait after a no, the more likely you are to get a positive outcome. Chris Voss calls this the no dance, and it's all about making the other person feel uncomfortable enough to speak again. People tend to fill silence with words, often revealing more than they intend to. In this silence, you don't have to say anything. Let the other person speak and reveal their next move. By embracing the silence after a no, you force the other person to reconsider their position or find a new way forward. It's a powerful tool in both high-stakes negotiations and everyday situations. Chapter 6. The no, you can't say. Knowing when to walk away. Negotiation isn't about always winning. Sometimes it's about knowing when to walk away. One of the most powerful things you can do is recognize when a deal isn't right for you. By walking away, you show strength and confidence. Chris Voss explains that the key to successful negotiation is the ability to say no and be prepared to leave. Knowing when to walk away isn't just a tactic, it's a mindset. A report from the Harvard Negotiation Project found that negotiators who are willing to walk away have more success in the long run. By saying no and walking away from a deal that doesn't meet your needs, you avoid losing value and build respect in future negotiations. Sometimes, the hardest part of negotiation is letting go. But as Voss teaches, the no you can't say is just as important as the yes you want to hear. Thanks for watching. If you found these negotiation tips valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more expert strategies that will make you a negotiation pro.